Hi guys, Mrs. Vance here. We are going to do our polar bear drawing today. So you need a piece of your drawing paper. That is the thinnest paper in your pack. Okay, so if you're not sure, ask somebody else in your house, but you can kind of feel the paper and the thickness of it. And it's the thinnest one in your pack. If you would like to practice first, you can grab your handy dandy sketchbook and you can do this along with me in your sketchbook first. This would be a great idea for those of you that are just a little bit unsure of, yourself sometimes and maybe you want to practice and just make it absolutely the best polar bear you possibly can make. All right, so my pencil is sharpened. I've got my magic rub ready and we are ready to roll. We are going to start with our feet of our polar bear, and they are going to come in the bottom section here, and we need two of them. So we're going to make two semicircles. Okay, so just kind of making that rainbow shape and another rainbow shape. And we want them to almost touch each other and take up the whole width of our paper. So again, that frowny face, that rainbowy face. Now notice Mrs. Vance's lines. I've got lots of lines here. This is called more of a sketch because I'm working it out, but I'm not pressing very hard on my paper. My pencil is nice and light. It might look a little darker to you because of the camera and the way I set it up, but you want to keep your pencil nice and light when we draw. We definitely don't want to hold our pencil tight and push really, really hard. Keep your hand loose. Hold your pencil back a little further. And you can go back and forth a few times. That's totally fine in drawing. All right, so we have our paws of our polar bear kind of mapped out. The next thing we're going to do is our back of our polar bear. Now, we're going to be combining our polar bear with another sheet. So we don't want our polar bear to go all the way up here. We're going to stop kind of about here, which is about 2/3 up the paper. Okay, so we're going to start down here at the paw, and we're going to come up and around, okay? Up and around, connecting the outside of each paw to each other. So nice and light. Remember, only 2/3. We want some space up here. Definitely leave some space. And then we're going to come back around. We're trying to make this symmetrical. So you know that symmetrical means the same on both sides. So we want to make sure that that curve is nice and smooth and symmetrical. So if you've got kind of a wonky side, make sure you go back and you fix that. So again, up and around, connecting both of our paws. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to connect the front part of our paws. Now, we want to keep it as a similar shape to this, but we're connecting the inside portion of our paws. We want it to be much smaller, okay? We don't want it to go really up and high, more like a lowercase letter N here. Connecting our two paws. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to kind of take my eraser and I'm going to erase some of my extra lines and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Make it easier for you guys to see as well. All right, so we've got our paws, we've got our back, and we've separated our polar bear's legs. What we have left is our polar bear's head. So we are going to place our polar bear's head basically in the middle of this area right here. And I'm going to lightly put my pencil down and I'm going to use, notice how I'm not turning my wrist. I'm using my whole arm. So my whole arm, and that's how I make a nice circle and make it smooth and even. And it takes up a good amount of space. So I've got a little bit of space here between the legs and where I start the head, and I've got a little bit of space here. So do that as many times as you need to, and then again, take that eraser and erase out any of those extra lines that don't belong anymore. Okay, here we go. So now we are going to make the face on our polar bear. So we've got to give him ears first. Now he's not a bunny. His ears don't go up here. He's not a monkey. His ears don't go on the sides. They kind of are going to go on like a 45-degree angle. So in the corners of his head. And polar bears don't have very big ears, but we're making him more what we call stylistic. So he's a little bit more cartoony. And make sure that those ears are roughly the same size. Again, using the idea of sketching it out first before you kind of commit to a line. All right. Now we are going to add the nose section, and the nose section is going to be a little bit more like a pear shape. Okay, so that pear shape is going to be almost like a soft triangle. So I'm going to come kind of down towards the middle of my head here, and that's kind of, I'm just going to go right above that middle spot, and that's kind of where my nose shape is going to start. And it's almost going to look like a piece of candy corn. You know how it's kind of rounded all over. And then again, use my pencil to kind of clean it up. You don't want it super skinny, and we don't want it really wide. It's not a circle. It's more of that rounded pear shape or triangle shape. Okay. So once you've got that down, okay, we're going to go ahead and we are going to place our nose. Now our nose on our polar bear is actually going to come down here low. It's not going to come way up here. It's going to come down here towards where the wider end of your like candy corn shape is. And you're going to make a triangle that's pointing downward. And you're just going to round out those corners just a little bit. Okay, so there's our nose in the middle. And then from that point of the nose, you're going to make two curves. One to the left, connecting the side, and one to the right. And this sort of gives your polar bear a little snout. Okay, we're not quite done yet. If you need to pause and kind of take a break and readjust some things, feel free to do so. That's why we do it via video, so we can pause and play as needed. And then the last thing we're going to do on that nose is we're going to add just a subtle smiley face shape curve to close that off. So there's that mouth for our polar bear. All right, the last thing we've got are our eyes. Now, polar bears have sweet, soft, kind of small eyes. So I want you to look at where your ears are and where your nose is, and we're going to kind of line that up. And that's where our eyes are going to go. So closer to our nose than our ear. And we're going to make sure that they are directly across from each other. And that they are the same size or very close. Just like so. All right, we have one more detail that we are going to put in. I want you to go down here to our paws. We are going to give our paws some actual toes. Okay, so we want to make sure in the middle, we're going to make that one basically just like a straight line there. But notice how it doesn't connect all the way to the top of the paw. And then on the sides, we are going to draw a curve to the left and a curve to the right. Just like the curve on the side of the paw, you're going to make a curve on the side here. And that helps it make it look more round and three-dimensional when we're talking about the toes of our polar bear. All right, that's it for this step. Our pencil part is done. Tomorrow we'll talk about the oil pastels. Nice job, guys. Have a good one.